Today's topic is a bunch of stupid flat earther that claims that modern Earth science destroys map projections. Be aware, this will be really, really stupid.
There are really significant pages that I think everyone will be able to take away, and these are ones that people are going to want in their archives because they are so effective against trolls. Okay.
So this is Kyle Adams making a presentation on the Globusters channel, and he will show 3 pages that are great for flat earther to show globers. This will be interesting.
I'll get started here with, this is the high school textbook, and as before, we also have the college textbook that goes side by side, and it's interesting how much one kind of repeats the other, even on the most basic of stuff. And so we've got like different kinds of map projections, and what really kind of catches my attention is the reading of the map and about how they've got symbols and scales, and it kind of talks about like the words to remember, like legends. Okay, a legend, a scale, and like those are stuff that people are taught in elementary school. So like, why are they teaching that and emphasizing that in college? It's kind of a weird thing to me, but yeah, that's college level for you.
So according to Kyle, it's strange to repeat the basics on the subject.
So there's some, I like the wording in the high school textbook a little bit more. It flows off the tongue better. I think that was the advantage of this. Okay. So a globe is a familiar model of Earth because a globe is spherical like Earth. A globe can accurately represent the locations, relative areas, and relative shapes of Earth's surface features. A globe is especially useful for studying large surface features, such as continents and oceans. But most globes are too small to show details of Earth's surface, such as streams and highways. For that reason, a great variety of maps have been developed for studying and displaying detailed information about Earth. Does anything stand out to you about that paragraph?
Most globes are too small to show details about Earth.
Okay.
That's a true statement.
Yeah.
It says a globe can accurately represent the locations, relative areas, and relative shapes. And yet, if you look at all of the different globes, they all seem to have all different proportions on it. It's for display only, not for educational or scientific purposes. So,
yeah, I've seen that so many times. Just the actual sticker on the bottom of the globes. Yeah.
Mhm.
Not for educational purposes. And so I think that's a great point here, because the way it's worded, it really does sound like it's saying that, oh, the globes are useful, but they're also not useful at the same time, right? That's the whole thing right here. Most globes are too small to show details on the Earth's surface. And so this is kind of downgrading the whole globe thing.
And how big must a globe be to be able to show local roads and so on? Those fools don't understand scale.
And that's downgrading the whole globe thing. And I also noticed that this whole first sentence here, or 2 sentences, they're both trying to go to war with the flat Earth, you know, which is really interesting. It's like, oh, because the globe is spherical, and they got to continually re-emphasize that all throughout the book, even though they're not really doing anything to put more on the table for that. So this is a little part from the college textbook, and I thought this was funny. Okay. No flat map can maintain a constant distance scale over Earth's entire surface. The scale on a map that depicts a large area cannot be applied equally everywhere on a map. On maps of small areas, however, distance distortions will be minor, and the accuracy will usually be sufficient for most purposes. Okay, so this is like another big thing that's really attacking the flat Earth.
attacking flat Earth. It describes why you need map projections and a brief explanation what the problem with map projection is.
Well, can I just interject right here?
Absolutely, go for it.
If you look at how maps are made, no flat map can maintain a constant distance scale over Earth's entire surface. But if you look at how maps are made, maps are made with their relationship to objects in the sky.
Uh-huh.
So that's not an
Like
exact
Polaris
science.
and the sun.
Right,
Yeah.
exactly. So they're basically strawmanning the discrepancies that happen when you relate the sky to the Earth and make your map that way. It's not perfect, right? Like there's still minor adjustments. You have to get down to a smaller scale and a smaller map before you get really accurate. So they're basically just saying, oh, it's because, I don't know. It just seemed like a little bit like they're just sort of throwing it in there to keep I don't know. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
No, it makes no sense at all.
I think so. Yeah. I think
It can't be like they're basically telling you, oh, a large scale map, like the globe is gonna be inaccurate. Of course it is, and you know, but they're giving you a BS reason why.
Yeah. They're fighting the flat Earth, and they're just not doing much to actually support their claim on that.
It's nothing about fighting flat Earth. They don't understand the problem with making a flat Earth of a globe. You will get distortions. That's what it's all about. That's the reason why we have map projections.
So now we've got map projections. A map is a flat representation of Earth's curved surface. However, transferring a curved surface to a flat map results in a distorted image of the curved surface. An area shown on a map may be distorted in size, shape, distance, or direction. The larger the area being shown is, the greater the distortion tends to be. A map of the entire Earth would show the greatest distortion. A map of a small area, such as a city, would show only slight distortion.
And will those geniuses understand that explanation?
Okay, so they're kind of I think here they're talking about a lot of different maps, but it's interesting because let's remember that. Okay, they're talking about big maps show a lot of distortion, and then small maps.
That's what we were just talking about.
Yeah,
that's what we were just talking about, with the globe being a generalization, and then the more you zoom in, the more detailed your map is going to get.
Oh dear.
That's just...
When and where do they calculate for distortion on a map is my question.
Say that again?
When and where do you ever calculate for distortion on a map? So I think about if I were to have a piece of paper and I crumple it all up, and because that's what you do is you take a globe and then you wrap a paper around it, and that paper is going to tear as it tries to expand to a globe. But at the same time, that's not what the globalists claim. They claim that you're taking a globe and then you're trying to flatten it out on a piece of paper, which is going to cause a lot of stretches, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so where do you see them making all these claims to, okay, we've got to adjust for the distortion of the map now. This area is going to be a little bit more stretched. You don't really see that on road maps. They say it.
No, because you wouldn't. That's because it's like it says, it's almost unnoticeable when you get to the smaller local maps. So you don't even notice it. You're just looking at where you are locally as a human on this, in your little tiny, spot that you're navigating on this huge Earth. It's like the scale difference is so huge that when you're just navigating around where you're going, like there's no way that relates to the whole entire Earth at the same time. Like, it's two completely different things.
Yeah. Yeah. They're saying that there's slight distortion, okay, on city maps. So
yeah, but probably not so much if it's just a
Okay.
city. They'll say slight, but
So Karen understand it, but Kyle, no, he don't understand it at all.
but it's
You're not
so
gonna notice
slight
it.
that you don't take it into account whatsoever is kind of the big deal. They're acknowledging that there's distortion, but then you just treat it as if there is no distortion. It's the whole thing. And so when it comes to, I'm thinking about magnetic declination, about how you have to constantly
Yeah.
kind of adjust your compass with the true north versus magnetic north, right?
Mhm.
And so that right there is an obvious place where you have to make adjustments and correct for distortion. You know what I mean? But when it comes
But
to
is that really distortion, or is that just the direction that you're traveling in?
you're right. You're right. So it's I'm sorry. I didn't mean to call magnetic declination distortion. I'm just
But I
saying
can
that.
see how you think it would be, though,
Yeah.
related.
Now,
And it
I understand
probably
there are
somewhere in between lies where that confusion happens.
I understand there are flat earthers out there who say that magnetic declination is a myth and it's a hoax. It's all about just correcting for this distortion, right? But that's
Yeah,
not true.
that would be
like we've
incorrect.
discussed that in the past. Yeah, we've
Yeah.
discussed that in the past and said magnetic declination is very much a thing.
It is very
Yeah.
much real because you can measure it yourself.
So Kyle changed the topic from map projection that he obviously don't understand and now tries to talk about magnetic declination, and those geniuses can agree upon that is real. But how do they explain it on a flat earth?
That's a really big thing that stands out to me when it comes to latitude and longitude that I didn't quite get into last time, and that is concerning Polaris. So
Mhm.
on a straight line flat model, pretending there is no refraction, the farther you get from Polaris, the slower the angles change.
Yeah.
This means on a straight line flat model, pretending there is no refraction, the lines of latitude would have to be unequally distanced. Okay? Unequally distanced. And so on the globe, are you still there? I'm hearing a bunch of static.
Yeah.
Okay. So on the globe, each of the lines of latitude are equally distanced. This is where I kept all of the lines of latitude equally distanced, and you're trying to look at the angle at which you see Polaris, and all of a sudden you got weird refraction that would have to take place in order for this equal distance to be when it comes to lines of latitude. And then over here, I have the refracted flat model with unequally distanced lines of latitude. And so here I've got, it's smaller when you're closer to Polaris, and then as you get farther and farther away, your lines of latitude get wider and wider. So if someone wanted to really put their world to the test, what they could do is go out and try to like physically measure the lines of latitude, trying to go in a straight line. Okay. Each line of latitude is not evenly spaced because downward refraction limits our range of view over distance. Okay.
So, on a flat earth, the refraction only affects the latitude, not the longitude. That makes no sense at all.
This is our refraction that's getting sent downward, and that's ended up.
Where is the data coming from that you're putting that's I don't get it.
Okay, so what I did was I kind of created my own model here where I did each one is 10 degrees apart. Okay.
Mhm.
And so at 0 degrees of latitude, you're supposed to see Polaris at like right on the horizon line. You're not supposed to see this would be at the equator. You're not supposed to see Polaris at all. Okay. And then you go up 10 degrees of latitude, and that's where you're supposed to see Polaris.
Okay.
You're supposed to see at 10 degrees in the sky.
And Kyle didn't answer the simple question, where did you get the data?
Okay. And then it kind of goes on. And so I'm trying to use this protractor to measure out the different degrees based on where I'm at. Does that make sense?
Okay, but I don't understand why the yellow lines are bent. What does that mean?
The yellow lines are bent. It's just kind of an expression of downward refraction. Okay.
So there's more refraction
I can't make
the
this.
closer you get to Polaris.
He's measuring the angles. What angles? He have placed Polaris very low. And what do the angles tell him? Nothing. And then he makes up a refraction based on what? Oh dear.
There's okay. In order to do this, okay, I couldn't put this star super high up in the sky. Does that help a little bit?
Okay, well that makes more sense. Yes. Okay.
Yeah. And so I only did that just for the sake of expression.
Okay, I get you. But when you're showing it, like if for me, because I like know how refraction works, I'm thinking there's this line, and then there's like more refraction the closer you are to underneath the star, then the further you are away, which is like the opposite of actually how it should be.
Yeah, I'm not trying to say that there's more refraction. Sorry, it's a little off-putting with that. It changes as you put this higher. Does that make? Does that help it at all?
There you go. Leave it like that, and then move your. Thank you.
Okay.
It's quite obvious that not even Karen B believes Kyle's nonsense. I will stop here because the video is over 1 hour long, and the only thing that Kyle is capable of proving is that he understands nothing about the things he believes that he have debunked. Okay, I will be back soon. Have a nice day. See you soon. Bye.